going on. Right, we should be live streaming now. So I will introduce the application. This is for the application made under Section 17 of the Licensing Act 2003, the grant of a premises licence with respect to Tesco, 96 High Street, Rayleigh, SS6 7BY. So I will. Right. The panel today is me. I'm chairman, which is Daniel FD. I can ask the other panelists to introduce themselves.
I'm Councillor Michael Hoy.
I'm Councillor Mrs. Carol Weston.
Thank you. And our council licensing officer.
Hi, I'm Caris Brooke. Hi, I'm Caris Brooke. I'm the licensing officer.
Thank you. The applicant.
Hi, I'm Hardish Purewal and I'm the licensing manager for Tesco's.
Thank you. And any responsible authorities? I don't think I can see any here. No.
Chair, could I just add that I have got Mary with me to answer any kind of local, to support any questions that you may have. She's the store manager at the London Road Rayleigh branch at the moment.
Thank you very much. Right then, the committee will take this form, which will be the licensing officer will introduce for 15 minutes maximum, with questions followed by the panel. Then the applicant with 15 minutes and questions followed by the panel. Any responsible authority, which I can't see anybody, but if they do turn up, 15 minutes, then questions. Then any parties that have got interest, we permit to speak. Then we will go to have a summary of the application by the licensing officer, and then the application, then the applicants will have 2 minutes to sum up. Licensing officer, sorry, before that, have 2 minutes to sum up, and then we'll go for decision. So I'd like to ask the licensing officer to introduce the.
Sorry, Chairman, if I may interject. Just for information purposes, the interested party, the objector to this application, has written in to give apologies, and she will not be able to attend. So all members and the applicant should have an Appendix F, which is the objector's representations for this morning's hearing.
Thank you, Angela.
And Chairman, it's 15 minutes each per submission, closing submissions, not 2.
Oh, right, sorry.
Thank you.
Thank you. So, Caris, would you like to kick off?
Yeah, thank you. Okay, so I'll just briefly go through the report here. So it's item 4, 4.1, the page that I'll start on. So this report introduces an application for the grant of a premise licence. The application was submitted to the licensing authority by Tesco Stores Limited and refers to the premises to be known as Tesco 96 High Street, Rayleigh, SS6 SBY. The premises to which the application relates comprises of a retail premises with the intention to operate as a supermarket. The premises is located on Rayleigh High Street between Crown Hill and Eastwood Road. The application is for the following licensing activities within the times and days shown. So it's the supply of alcohol off sales only, Monday to Sunday, 6 AM till 12 AM, and late night refreshment, Monday to Sunday, 11 PM to 12 AM. We haven't received any representations from the police or environmental health. There has been one representation received from a local resident, and this representation raises concerns in relation to the licensing objective, which is the prevention of public nuisance. It is proposed that the subcommittee resolves the application to be determined according to one of the following options. So either to grant the application subject to conditions as are consistent with the operating schedule, modified to such extent as members consider necessary for the promotion of the licensing objectives and any mandatory condition that must be included, or to exclude from the scope of the licence any of the licensable activities to which the application relates, or to reject the application, or subject to paragraphs 11 to 13 of the Licensing Act 2003, Hearings Regulations 2005, to adjourn the hearing to a specified date or arrange for a hearing to be held on a specified additional dates. That's it for the summary of the report.
Thank you, Clarice. Any members got any questions? Carol Weston?
Clarice, can you just go back to the times again? I got a bit confused there. You said the times were 6 in the morning till 12 at night. And then you said another time, 11 p.m. till 12 p.m. I was a bit confused on those two times. Can you just clarify for me, please?
Yes, so the first one is for the supply of alcohol for the off hours, and the second is for the late night refreshments. So this is hot or cold, hot drinks or food, and it's between 11 and 12 because that's the hours that the licensing application asks for them to be. So in between the hours of 11 and 5 a.m, you would need a license to sell the hot or cold drinks.
So the 11 till 12 is just hot and cold drinks. It's not alcohol.
No, the alcohol is to go from 6 a.m. to 12 a.m.
Thank you. Thank you, Karen. Thank you, Chairman.
Councillor Hoy, any questions?
No, I have no questions on that. Thank you.
I've just got a clarification, Clarice. You said you didn't have anything from Essex Police, but there is something on Essex Police. It just says there's no objection. Is that?
Yeah, so there's no reps from Essex Police or Environmental Health. Yeah.
Thank you. All right then. So there's nothing else. No. The applicant like to introduce.
Yep, sure. Good morning, everybody, and thank you for hearing this application for our new store in the High Street. We're looking to open in July, and we will take over the site probably about 4 weeks before that. So if I just start off by telling you a little bit about Tesco, we've got 2,800 shops across the UK. And we have 300,000 colleagues that work across distribution, stores, at the office. We have two formats, the large and the convenience format. So you'll probably all be familiar with the large format, our larger stores, where you can go and do your weekly, 2 weekly, monthly shops. And then we have our convenience format, which is very much about top-up shops. And there's a limited but a targeted range to what the local community need. Alcohol is a very small but important part of this overall business, and there's a reduced number of alcohol lines. So this store, we will employ 20 colleagues and 3 managers and a mixture of full-time and part-time team. This is a store that's known kind of as a on the move store, which is what you get in a high street, servicing kind of local people that are coming into the town, as well as local residents that live nearby. Like I said, we'll have a carefully kind of selected lines for this premises. If I start off just talking a little bit about our good neighbour policies that we have. So locally, we've had 23 projects that have benefited from £58,000 of donations. We've donated more than 38,000 meals through the community food connection. Some of the charities that have benefited from this is the Christchurch URC in Rayleigh, which it was a mentoring project for young people between 11 and 18. The Fitz Wymark School which we donated some money because they wanted to improve their library facilities. And then also the Taki Watanga Support Services, which supports children with autism. Locally, often apart from that, there's also other things that we will do. So, for example, Mary's been involved in the local school where a couple of colleagues from the store have gone and helped during a gala day and provided water and fruit. And we welcome these kind of opportunities to get more involved in what's going on locally. We work really well with the police locally as well. So if there's any issues that come up, we kind of pride ourselves in dealing with those promptly and take into account kind of, you know, what the police are saying. If there's any antisocial behaviour in the area, we will do what we can to support them. And as you've already suggested, that there's been no issues raised to this application by the police. On a national level, we have a good relationship with a lot of the statutory authorities. I chair a retail alcohol standards group, which looks at best practice in how we sell alcohol as an industry. And this isn't just about bringing larger retailers around the best practice, but it's also encouraging smaller retailers to sign up and adopt things like Challenge 25. We also have community alcohol partnerships, which where there's a known underage drinking issue in an area, we have a programme again with all of the retailers working together to support local communities through the police and other enforcement authorities around providing diversionary activities for children and actually all working together so that children don't get hold of alcohol. We work very closely with the Portman Group and Drink Aware, as well as the Home Office and the Department of Health. We also have a primary authority relationship that endorses all of our processes and procedures, and we go to them for constant advice. I'll just talk very briefly about our training. So our training has been endorsed by the British Institute of Innkeepers as what excellent looks like. All our training is documented and has an audit compliance, as you would expect. When somebody new starts with Tesco, they go through an induction, and that induction consists of role play and being given information. And it's an opportunity to discuss lots of issues that kind of may come in the store environment. Further training on kind of alcohol sales is given through the checkouts in terms of how to operate a checkout, and we have a prompt that comes up on a checkout. So when alcohol is scanned, the checkout will freeze and there's an action that has to be taken. There's a question in it. It asks our colleagues to think 25, and then there's a date of birth there, asking them to just check the date of birth against what ID may be provided. We also within our security training, there's a section on alcohol in there as well, on how to kind of look out for people that have no intention to pay for a product or steal it, and some of the things that they can do to avoid that and avoid conflict as well. Our refresher training is twice a year, so every member of our team will get training on alcohol twice a year, and that happens just before Christmas and usually just before Easter, kind of at the key times when there's more alcohol sales. I've already talked about like Think 25, so we've got a Think 25 policy, which we were one of the first to endorse, and we had Think 21 before that, and that's very much around stopping, assessing, asking, and then checking the ID. We only accept approved ID, so for example, anything with the PASS logo, passport, driving license, or military ID is the only ID that we will accept, or anything that's endorsed by the Home Office. A part of the training, there's also a section on what to look out for if somebody is drunk, so how to spot somebody and then obtain managers' support if they encounter any issues. And again, there's the conflict training that talks very much about that. We also get our team to look out for proxy sales. So we understand that alcohol is sometimes bought by somebody old enough and then passed on to children. So we ask our store managers and our store teams to look out for that, and also get an understanding of what's going on outside of the store, not just what's going on inside. There's a section on the licensing objectives as well within the training, and we talk about how we as Tesco will meet those licensing objectives. But I guess the most important policy that we have is it's you say no, we say no, and that's where we empower our teams to make the right decisions. So if, for example, somebody looks older than 25 and we may think, oh God, you know, we've made the wrong decision, or our cashier's made the wrong decision, we won't overrule them, but we may need to give them a bit more training on how to kind of identify somebody under 25. And that's about giving them the confidence to do their job, because we recognise that if we don't do that, next time they will just make the wrong decision. So we also, in terms of communicating with our teams, if I want to send a message out to all of our stores, for example, when A-level results come out, I'm able to do that through our Team 5 process. I send a message out, and I'm confident that every single person within the store, so then the store manager will disseminate that message to the rest of the team in the store. In terms of security, we will, and this store will have the latest camera, because they're changing all the time. So the designs and the capabilities, we always get the latest one. So this will have the latest design. There's also panic alarms in the store. We will tag high value items. Spirits are kept behind the counter. And we've also got body cams that we provide for our teams as well as headsets, so they're able to kind of communicate to each other better. Our store managers are also empowered to close stores if anything was to happen. And an example of this would be Wembley, where on match day sometimes it can get a bit hairy, and our store manager may need to just close the store so that people pass. Or indeed we would stop selling alcohol for a period of time where, you know, we recognise that it's kind of fueling what's going on outside. Centrally, there's a licensing team that will support the stores. We have a compliance team, and our compliance consists of, we have an external company that come in and do Think 25 tests in the store, and this store will be tested 4 times a year to make sure that it's following Think 25. We also have internal audits, where an external audits that will check that we're meeting our licensing objectives. There's also a security team that will support stores in case there's any problems. I guess in terms of our range, we will have a very small range here. We have a limited range on promotions. A lot of the time, the promotions actually don't apply to express stores, and they are only in our larger stores. And the promotions are all nationally, so we wouldn't do anything local in the area. In terms of deliveries, the deliveries are consolidated. The driver will call the store about 15 minutes beforehand so that we're ready to take a delivery in the store. In terms of noise, kind of, I guess, pollution, our cages have rubber wheels, and the drivers are told to turn the engines off when they arrive for a delivery as well. And also there's a lot of work that's been done in how the tailgates come down. So again, the noise will be restricted. We've also got small vehicles. So a store in our convenience format will have like 10-metre vehicles, and not the larger Arctics that sometimes you see. And then the refuse collection is once a week. Our main collection, the refuse, as in recycling, will go back on our trucks. But in terms of from the bins outside the front of the shop, and then any waste that's generated from our colleagues in our staff rooms, they're collected once a week. If I can just talk about the late night refreshment, that's a Costa machine. So there's a bizarre, because the payment is taken by a checkout and not actually at the machine. So some of these Costa machines, sometimes you can actually put money into the machine. If we had a vending machine where you put money into it, we don't require a late night refreshment license, but because it's a coffee machine where payments taken at the checkout, that's why we need it. But it is only for a coffee machine. We're not going to be selling fast food or anything like that from this store. Just kind of moving on to the representation. So we would like to pick up a conversation with Miss O'Dear, and when the store manager is about, we'll pick up a conversation with her. But you know, just want to kind of formally say thank you for the representation and the concern mainly around noise. What having looked at the site and been in the site, I can see where that noise comes from, because actually the floorboards are kind of exposed, and you can see the residents' floorboards. We are going to be putting an acoustic ceiling in, so that should take away some of it. And actually, and what they're doing on top of what we would normally do is we're putting a GUR floor down. So although it's a solid floor and we're not expecting noise to be to emanate from the flooring, just to reduce that even more, we're putting this GUR flooring down so that there actually won't be the noise that has been experienced in the past. I guess the other questions raised about people kind of hanging about in the car parks. That car park doesn't belong to Tesco, it belongs to the landlord. There is no parking facility for our customers at this store. So we're not expecting it's used during the day anyway by, I think there's a baby sensory group, and I believe there's a barrier. So there shouldn't be anybody, you know, once they finish, the barrier should come down. But that's something we can pick up with the landlord, so that there aren't, you know, that parking isn't used for our store because it's not available for our store. It doesn't belong to us. I guess there, in terms of there isn't anything in the statement of licensing policy that suggests that hours should be reduced. And you know, it says unless there's exceptional reason that the store licensing hours should match the trading hours, and that's in line with the section 182 guidance, and then the Thwaites case as well. But I'm sure your legal advisor will be able to give you a bit more support around that. So I guess I would just say that, you know, we're a good operator. We've got a good record of working with communities, and I would kind of throw it back to you now, so if there's any questions, or if I haven't tried to be as thorough as I possibly can, but if there's something that I haven't answered, then I'm happy to take questions.
Thank you. Right, any questions from the panel? Councillor Hoy.
Yeah, thanks, Chairman. I did have a list of questions, and I think you've answered very many of them, so thank you for that. I just wanted to go on about a bit more detail about maybe public nuisance, which I think is most people's concerns as well. I think you've addressed the noise quite well at the moment. Obviously, we all have concerns about public nuisance when it's late alcohol sales. So I know other stores, and I think this is because they're nearer the school, do have security on some days. I think Mary, was it, the manager of the Tesco's in London Road, has that. What's your position on needing security? I mean, what do you have a policy that if there are problems, you can introduce security without being asked to?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have a risk assessment. Actually, I should have mentioned it. We have a risk assessment that takes place on a regular basis. So, and that's taken, we report our own incidences. So we have our own incident reporting system, as you would expect, but it's also taken from local crime data as well, and what our teams are saying. So all of that kind of forms a part of the risk assessment. So there may be certain times when we need a guard. There may be like if I give you an example, Ascot needs a guard once a week, once in a week over the whole year. Doesn't need guarding then, but it kind of needs it there at that point. And this is one thing that's always, we've got a security team. I have if the licensing officers, if the police, if there was an event being held or something was going on a Friday night, for example, then we would risk assess that and put a guard in if it was needed. We wouldn't, and this is where we work really closely with the police. So if they raise any issues, then we kind of will act accordingly. But as you will see some of those issues ourselves, the police shouldn't even need to raise them to us. We'll work it out ourselves and know when we need a guard.
Okay, thank you. And again, you mentioned about delivery times. I missed the time. You did say the time. I just missed the time that you said the delivery times were.
Oh, sorry, I didn't talk about times because that will be.
I thought you said about delivery times. So you said about the vehicles. I thought you'd said.
Oh, I talked about using 10-meter vehicles.
Yeah.
And that the deliveries would be quiet.
Yes.
not a diesel kind of engine running. I don't believe there have been, like, planning haven't said there are. We don't have any delivery restriction times. Right. I don't believe there are any in the area because we'll be using the loading bay by Super Drug. So I don't think, I haven't been told that there's any restrictions on that loading bay, but if there's restrictions, we'll obviously stick to those restrictions.
Okay.
But as it stands, we don't have any planning restrictions.
But Super Drug is a little distance anyway from the flat, I'm thinking. Okay, that's the questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Councillor Weston.
Thank you, Chairman. Councillor Hoy did ask a question on the delivery side. Just a question on that one. If the area is being used by another vehicle, where would your vehicle park? That would be a concern if there was trying to be two vehicles parking in the same position. One of the questions, the important question I want to ask as well is, how many staff will you be having in the store at any one time? And will you be having staff under the age of 25 who will be, if someone comes up to the tills with alcohol, will there be a responsible person in the store to okay the sale of the alcohol if you've got a member of staff under the age of 25? I'm not sure if that is, maybe Angela Law can tell me if that is correct or not. Thank you, Chairman.
I don't actually, Mary, you may be able to answer the question about whether we have teams under 18 in our express store. I know we have them in our larger stores, but there's in our express stores, I guess there's an expectation that everybody will do every job, and it's whether, Mary, are you able to answer whether we have under 18?
Yes, no, we don't have colleagues under 18. They've got to be over 18 to be able to authorise alcohol. So all the colleagues that are over 18.
Can I just come back on that, Angela? Can you just clarify? Is that the case that you're? I thought before when I've been on one of these licenses, the responsible person over a certain age to confirm the sale of the alcohol on the tills. It may all change. I could be wrong anyway. Thank you.
The policy is to think 25, as long as the colleagues are aged to sell alcohol, which is 18 years of age, then that's okay. That's how it works.
And also having the licence in place, Chairman.
So anyone under 18 would need authorisation from somebody over 18 or a duty manager. But anybody over 18, I mean, we always say to our teams, if you're ever unsure, if you're ever in doubt, you call a manager over if you're having trouble assessing anyone's age. Does that answer your question?
Yes, I think so. Thank you.
Thank you. I've just got one question. We've talked about deliveries. bins, do the bins go with the delivery vehicles back, or do you get separate bin collections?
So we have two lots. So we have our recycling, so all the cardboard and packaging, which goes back on our Tesco trucks, and then the refuse, as in from the bins that we will have outside of the store, we'll have 2 bins outside, and then the refuse from our colleague room that will get collected once a week.
That's once a week. Okay, thank you. All right. Any other questions? Any panel members? Sonia, do you like to take Councillor Hoy's hand down? Thank you. Next would be any statutory authority. I don't think we've got any here, so we can move on to closing statements, which is 2 minutes.
Sorry,
So
Chairman, if I may interject, before you move on to closing statements, prior to this, the start of this meeting, Caris had already sent across some conditions for Tesco's to agree, and I think they have confirmed that they're agreeable to that.
yeah,
So if we can just ask the licensing officer to, if you wish, to read out those 9 conditions, and for Tesco to agree that they're happy with those, if that's okay for the record.
okay. Clarice, would you like to read out the 9 conditions? Attention of crime and disorder.
So just bear with me one moment.
I'm quite happy to do it if Clarice hasn't got it in front of her.
Chairman, that's fine. Yeah, yeah, if you'd like to.
Yeah, so these are the 9 conditions that Tesco has agreed to. Just want to double check. So prevention of crime and disorder. The premises licence holder will retain a digital CCTV system that covers the premises, including the main area, which will be used for display of alcohol. 2, the CCTV images will be retained for 31 days. 3, a member of the management team will be on the premises at the times the store is open and will be the initial point of contact for any issues that may arise. Next subsection, public safety. The premises licence holder will maintain policies and procedures in relation to relevant obligations and legalisation. These will be available upon request. Next subsection, prevention of public nuisance. The premises will demonstrate a good neighbour ethos and that they will play an active part in the local community. And the last subsection, protection of children from harm. The premises will operate a Think 25 policy. The checkouts will be programmed to prompt the customer assistant when an alcohol product is scanned at the checkout to follow the Think 25 policy. All colleagues will receive training in relation to the underlying law, policy, systems and procedures. This training will be documented and refresher training will be provided on a regular basis. These will be available upon request. Hopefully that's what's been agreed. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
So if Clarice would like to carry on with her closing statement, 2 minutes on this one.
It's just a summary to determine the outcome for the premise licence application for the Tesco's 96 High Street, Rayleigh. There's nothing else from our side.
Okay, thank you, Clarice. And would the applicant like to sum up with a closing statement, max 2 minutes?
Yeah, I think I've given quite a thorough overview anyway, so I won't take long. But I hope I've been able to demonstrate that we are an excellent operator. We will work with the resident and any other residents or any other local groups in the area. I hope I've been able to demonstrate that we've got policies and procedures that will uphold the licensing objectives. And there's been no evidence to suggest that the granted hours, as we've requested, shouldn't be granted. There was no objection from the police, and appropriate weight should be given to that. And I guess just decisions in line with the Section 182 guidance, the statement of your licensing policy, and also weights. Okay, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Right, we're now going to go for an adjourn, come to a decision. There's no reason for you to stay on after if you don't want to, but we're pleased to see you again when we give our decision. And if you don't stay on, we'll give it to you in writing.
Yes, Chairman. So I would suggest we probably could adjourn, Sonia, for about 30 minutes for your deliberation and come back with a decision. If the applicant wants to sign back in, I believe they have the signing details. Otherwise, our licensing team will contact them of the result.
Yeah, well, we might be finishing before the next signing, so Sonia will notify you if we come back earlier, which I'm quite early on this at the moment. Thank you.